Alright, I wanted to do a review on this Texas Prepper greenhouse. Last winter I was looking for greenhouse plans, came across these by Texas Prepper2, and last spring decided I'd make it. So it's been up a whole year. I gave it a whole year before I was going to do a review on it. So it has been standing like this through a couple feet of snow and storms and winter. And it has held up well. So the first thing I was worried about, it was just blowing away. It's pretty sturdy, it's pretty well built, but it looks like it could blow away at some point if it wasn't staked down. This one is just all out on its own. You can see that it has no shelter from trees or anything like that. It is just out in the middle of nowhere basically, and it has stayed in place. I did end up putting a rock on some of the corners, and I did end up putting a stake in it and staking it down and tying it down just because I was afraid at some point it might blow over, but it never did. It moved a couple times and slid a little bit, but it has held up. So here it is, and some differences that I did maybe from the plans. On the baseboards here, I went with 2x6s on the base just to make it a little bit heavier and to add a little height to it. And I also added these little extra flanges of plastic here on the edges to try and seal up the door better when you close the door. They kind of cover it. It works all right. The plastic kind of curls in the wind, and it does an alright job of keeping a little bit more airtight. And I put them on this side as well with the hinges just to kind of seal this up, but does pretty well. So on the inside, since I used the 2x6s on the bottom, I was able to get the cattle panel up a little bit higher. I gave myself a few more inches of lifting it up off the ground where I stapled it, and that just kind of ended up making the arch a little bit taller, which is good. Since I'm 6'3", I didn't want to have to duck the whole time, so this gives me a good inch or two of height on the top, and I can walk right down the middle of it, which is nice. Misters, I put up the misters with a timer on it, so these are all running on misters on a timer, so I don't have to worry about it. I pretty much planted everything out in the garden already, so this is just some kind of extra holdover stuff that hasn't been planted, but it's doing pretty well. Works great in the winter because I can basically use this for storage and put bikes and stuff in here once I get this all cleaned up and all of these things moved to the side in the corner. Put hoses in here, things like that that I can keep for the winter. I did put the automatic window in the back. That I think is a must-have. It can get really hot in here if the sun comes out, and that helps to keep the temperature down. I also keep the door open. A lot of days when I go to work in the morning, I just open the door and prop the door open because it can get so hot on these sunny days. Otherwise, it is a great plan. Really simple, really straightforward. Made it in a day. Followed the directions, put the foam on there, got some greenhouse plastic online, and just stretched it up and put it on, and it has been working great. I guess one recommendation I would make too is the floor. I brought in a bunch of gravel and covered the floor in gravel. I just dug out a spot originally and then brought the greenhouse over here and just had dirt floor, but what I started learning really quick is that the weeds just take off and this thing turns into just basically a weed greenhouse. So I really scraped it down to the soil and then just covered it all in gravel, and I still get lots of weeds and stuff that just blow in here, and with the humidity in here and the temperature, they just start growing as well. So putting the gravel down definitely helps take care of some of the weed problems. I also changed the plans a little and put these blocks in here. I didn't use those L brackets. I just cut some extra blocks here to kind of tie those arms off onto the sides and use them here as well. And then I used them on the back of the door. Just put some of these blocks back here. It kind of helps keep the door shut and supports it a little bit. And then I double blocked these over here where these shelves are, just to support the shelves a little bit better. And then I just put these 2x down here, which has worked out great. So overall, a great plan. Didn't cost me much, couple $100, way cheaper than any plan that I saw, and it does its job. Definitely puts out a lot of plants in the springtime, so highly recommend it.